Countries that are banned from visiting America. Travel ban in USA. Picture this. You have been saving money for 5 years. Every extra dollar you earned, you put it away. You stopped eating at restaurants. You skipped vacations. You worked overtime. All because you had one dream: to visit America. Maybe you want to see your daughter graduate from college. Maybe you want to hold your newborn grandchild for the first time. Maybe you just want to walk through Times Square like you have seen in 1,000 movies. Your bags are packed. Your flight is booked. Your heart is racing with excitement. And then, bam! You find out that because of the passport in your pocket, because of the country where you were born, the door just slammed shut in your face. Not because you did anything wrong, not because you are dangerous, just because of geography, just because of lines on a map that you did not even draw. Does that sound insane to you? Because it should. Right now, at this exact moment, millions of people are living this nightmare. In June 2025, a massive travel ban came crashing down like a steel curtain. Some countries got completely locked out. No exceptions, no second chances, no hope. Other countries got hit with restrictions so complicated that trying to get a visa feels like solving a Rubik's Cube blindfolded while someone yells at you. But here is what nobody is telling you. This ban is way bigger than what you see on the news. It affects way more people than anyone admits. And if you have family overseas, if you have friends who dream of visiting America, if you care about fairness at all, you need to know what is really happening behind the scenes. So stick with me, because what I am about to show you will shock you. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which countries got banned, why the reasons do not always add up, and whether there is any hope left for people caught in this mess. Would you survive if your country suddenly got added to this list? Let me show you what is really going on. Understanding the 2 levels of the ban. Okay, so imagine America as this exclusive club, right? But instead of 1 bouncer at the door, there are 2 bouncers with 2 completely different rule books. The first bouncer, he does not even look at your ID. He just points at you and says, "Nope, you are never getting in. I do not care if you are a saint. I do not care if you cure cancer tomorrow. Your country is on my list, so turn around and go home." That is what they call a full suspension. Sounds fancy, but it is basically a lifetime ban wrapped in legal paper. Here is what full suspension actually means in real life. If you are from one of these countries and you did not already have a valid visa stamped in your passport before June 9th, 2025, you are done. Finished. Tourist visa, blocked. Student visa, blocked. Work visa, blocked. Even family visit visas, blocked. Can you imagine that? Your own mother lives in Florida, but you cannot visit her because you were born in the wrong place. That is not policy. That is cruelty dressed up in a suit. So which countries got hit with this total lockdown? 12 of them. Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. Read those names again. These are not just dots on a map. These are places where real people wake up every morning with dreams just like yours. A kid in Somalia who wants to study engineering. A doctor from Iran who got offered a job at a top hospital. A grandmother in Haiti who just wants to hug her grandchildren one more time before she dies. All of those dreams, on hold, maybe forever. But wait, it gets worse. 7 more countries got slapped with what they call partial restrictions. Sounds better, right? Like maybe there is wiggle room. Wrong. Citizens from Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela cannot get tourist visas, business visas, or student visas. Think about what that actually blocks. No attending your son's wedding. No studying at an American university. No visiting your cousin who you have not seen in 10 years. Why these countries? The official reasons. So you are probably sitting there asking yourself, why these countries? What did they do to end up on the naughty list? Good question. The official answer: national security, vetting deficiencies, screening problems. Fancy words that basically mean, we do not trust you. The government says these countries do not share enough security information with America. They say too many people come on visas and then overstay, like guests who crash on your couch and never leave. They mention terrorism risks and countries that refuse to cooperate. Sounds reasonable, right? But hold on, because when you actually look at the numbers, things start feeling weird. Let me blow your mind with this. They banned Burundi partly because over 15% of tourists and 17% of students overstayed their visas. That sounds terrible until you realize we are talking about maybe a few hundred people total, not thousands, not millions, hundreds. Now compare that to Spain. Spain has an overstay rate of only 2.4%. Way lower, right? But you know what that 2.4% equals? Over 20,000 actual people who overstayed. 20,000 from Spain versus a few hundred from Burundi. But guess which country got banned? Yeah, the math is not mathing here, folks. And here is where it gets absolutely bonkers. Remember that terrorist attack in Colorado that got everyone panicking? The one they used to justify rushing this ban through? The person charged in that attack was from Egypt. Egypt. But Egypt is not even on the banned list. So explain to me how banning someone's grandmother from Haiti stops an attacker from a country that is still allowed in. It is like locking your front door but leaving all your windows wide open and then bragging about how secure your house is. You see what I'm saying? When the reasons do not line up with the results, you start wondering, is this really about security? Or is something else going on here? Keep that question in your head because it is about to get even messier. Who gets a pass? The exemptions. All right, now here comes the part that might actually give you a tiny sliver of hope, or maybe just make you even more frustrated. Because not everyone from these banned countries is actually banned. Yeah, you heard that right. There are loopholes, escape hatches, secret doors. Let me break down who gets to slip through the cracks while everyone else is left standing outside in the cold. First up, green card holders. If you already have a green card, meaning you are a legal permanent resident of America, congratulations. You are safe. The ban cannot touch you. You can travel in and out like nothing happened. You might get some extra questions at the airport, maybe some side-eye from border agents, but you can still enter. So if you have that little green card in your wallet, breathe easy. You won the lottery without even buying a ticket. Now here is a wild one. Dual citizens. If you hold passports from 2 countries and one of them is not on the banned list, you just found your golden ticket. Just use your other passport when you fly to America. The system looks at which passport you are traveling with, not where you were actually born. So you could be born in Iran, but if you also have a Canadian passport, boom, you are in. It is like having a cheat code in a video game that everyone else is losing. Did you already have a valid visa stamped in your passport before June 9th, 2025? Then you are also protected. Your visa does not magically disappear. You can still use it. The ban is not retroactive, which is fancy talk for saying they cannot take away what you already had. But here is the catch. Once that visa expires, good luck getting a new one. You are back to square one with everyone else. Are you married to an American citizen? Are you the young child or parent of an American? Then maybe you can still get in as an immediate family member. Notice I said maybe, and notice I said immediate family. Your grandmother? Sorry, Your uncle? Nope. Your adult brother or sister? Not happening. Your cousin who you grew up with like a sibling? The government does not care. Only spouses, minor children, and parents get this protection. Everyone else? Left out in the cold like yesterday's trash. And get this, athletes coming for big events like the Olympics can still enter. Diplomats can enter. Refugees are supposed to be exempt, but the entire refugee program also got suspended, so that exception is basically useless. It is like being told you won a free car but then finding out the car has no engine. Technically true, but practically worthless. The human cost nobody talks about now. Let me paint you a picture of what this ban actually looks like when it crashes into real human lives. Because all those rules and exceptions we just talked about, they sound clean and organized on paper, but in reality, they are destroying families like a wrecking ball through a house of cards. In Chicago, community leaders stood up and talked about families drowning in fear and anxiety. Legal permanent residents, people who have lived in America for years, suddenly feel like the ground is crumbling under their feet. One Venezuelan American woman said she is terrified she might never see her grandparents again. Think about that for a second. She is American. Her grandparents just want to visit. But because they live in Venezuela and hold Venezuelan passports, they might die without ever meeting their great-grandchildren. Can you imagine watching your grandmother cry on a video call because she knows she will never hold you again? That is happening right now to thousands of people. And students? Oh man, students are living in a special kind of hell. If you are studying in America from one of these banned countries and you have a valid visa right now, you can stay. Sounds okay, right? But here is the trap that nobody warns you about. What happens if your dad has a heart attack back home? What if your sister is getting married? What if there is a family emergency and you need to fly back? Student visas are usually good for 5 years, but if you leave America for more than 5 months, you have to renew that visa. And if the ban is still active when you try to renew, you are done. You cannot get back in. Your education ends. Your degree disappears. 4 years of hard work, thousands of dollars in tuition, sleepless nights studying, all of it vanishes because you went home to bury your father. Let me hit you with some numbers that will make your head spin. In 2024 alone, America issued over 161,000 visas in the categories now affected by this ban. More than half of those were for family members trying to reunite with loved ones, adult children visiting parents, brothers and sisters separated by oceans, spouses waiting years to finally be together. All frozen, all rejected. And get this. 4.3 million immigrants from the affected countries already live in America. That is almost 1 out of every 10 immigrants in the entire country. They have families back home they cannot see anymore. They have relatives who cannot visit them. Is there any hope? What comes next? So after hearing all this chaos, you are probably wondering, is there any hope? Can this ban be fought? Can it be reversed? Will things ever get better? And honestly, the answer is not great. Actually, it is pretty terrible. But let me give it to you straight. The Supreme Court already ruled back in 2018 that the president has massive power to ban entry from countries if he can justify it with national security. That earlier ruling basically gave this new ban a bulletproof vest. Some organizations are looking into legal challenges, sure, but they are climbing uphill in a snowstorm wearing flip-flops. The legal path is brutal. And here is the part that will really crush you. This ban has no expiration date. It does not automatically end after 90 days or 6 months or a year. It stays locked in place until a future administration decides to kill it or until courts somehow block it. That could be months. That could be years. That could be never. Nobody knows. You are just stuck in limbo, watching your life plans evaporate while politicians argue. But wait, it gets worse. The government has identified 36 more countries that might get added to this list if they do not meet certain requirements. 36. And get this, 24 of those potential countries are in Africa. If all of them get slapped with bans, it would affect 71% of sub-Saharan Africa's population. Imagine that. Nearly 3/4 of an entire region of the world locked out of visiting America. That is not a travel ban. That is basically building an invisible wall around most of a continent. So what is the advice from immigration lawyers right now? If you are already in America, do not leave. Seriously, do not risk it. The chance of not being able to return is way too high. If you are outside America from a banned country, your options are basically pray for a miracle or wait for policies to change. The American dream just put up a closed for business sign for millions of people. The bigger picture nobody wants to face. Alright, let me zoom out for a second because we need to talk about what this ban really represents beyond just visas and paperwork. This is about way more than borders. This is about how we see each other as human beings. This is about whether we judge people by their actions and character or by the passport they happened to be born holding. And honestly, the pattern here is pretty hard to ignore. Supporters of the ban will tell you this is purely about safety and security. They will say every country has the right to control who enters. And you know what? That is true. Countries do have that right. But here is my question for you. Does security really require painting entire nations with the same brush? Does keeping America safe mean keeping out a grandmother who just wants to hug her grandchild? Does it mean blocking a brilliant student who dreams of curing diseases? At what point does security become an excuse for something uglier? Look at the pattern of who got banned and who did not. Most of the banned countries are in Africa, the Middle East, or the Caribbean. Most have majority Muslim or black populations. Most are poor countries or places dealing with conflicts that were often caused or made worse by bigger global powers meddling in their business. Meanwhile, wealthy countries with way more actual overstayers face zero restrictions. You can see why many people look at this and think, this smells less like security and more like discrimination wearing a fancy suit. And think about the message this sends to the rest of the world. America has always sold itself as the land of opportunity, the place where anyone can come and build a better life if they work hard enough. The Statue of Liberty does not say, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses," but only if they come from pre-approved countries with the right skin color and religion. But that is basically what this ban does. It tells people from certain parts of the world that they are presumed dangerous before they even fill out an application. Presumed untrustworthy. Presumed unwelcome. Not because of anything they did, but because of where they were born. Is that the America you thought you knew? Is that the country that calls itself the leader of the free world? Because from where I am standing, it looks like we are building walls instead of bridges. And those walls are not just keeping people out. They are trapping us inside our own fear. Conclusion. So where does all of this madness leave us? Let me wrap this up and bring it all home. Right now, at this very moment, 19 countries are either totally locked out or facing massive restrictions on entering the United States. 12 countries got the full hammer, completely banned. 7 more got slapped with partial bans that might as well be full bans for most people. And we are talking about millions of people affected here. Families ripped apart, students who cannot study, workers who cannot work, grandparents who will die without ever meeting their grandchildren. This is not some abstract policy debate happening in fancy government buildings. This is real pain happening to real people right now. If you are from one of these countries or you love someone who is, I know hearing all this information hurts. I know it feels unfair and frustrating and honestly just wrong. Because in a lot of ways it is wrong. But here is the thing. Knowledge is power. Understanding exactly what you are facing helps you make smarter decisions about your life. Should you risk traveling? Should you bother applying for that visa? Should you look at other options in other countries? These are questions only you can answer based on your specific situation, but at least now you know what you are up against. And if you are American and you are sitting there wondering what you can do to help, here is my answer. Support organizations that fight for immigration rights. Call your representatives and tell them this matters to you. Stay informed. Speak up when you see injustice. Do not just scroll past and forget, because silence is how bad policies become permanent. But here is what I really want everyone watching this to understand. Today it is these 19 countries. Tomorrow it might be completely different countries. The principle of judging people by where they were born instead of who they are as individuals, that affects all of us eventually. It makes the world smaller and meaner and darker. So whether this ban directly touches your life or not, it says something huge about the kind of world we are choosing to build together. Is this the world you want to live in? That is the question we all need to answer honestly. If you found this information valuable and you made it all the way to the end, do me a favor and smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more content that cuts through the confusion and gives you the real story without sugarcoating. Drop a comment below and tell me your thoughts or your experiences with this travel ban. Are you personally affected? Do you know someone who is? Let us talk about it in the comments because your stories matter. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.